Let me ask you about the market. It's so interesting from your view of the world, how powerful the market is at figuring out what's best for society. Why do you think the market works so well as a guide for humanity?
One must first understand what the market is. Simply put, the market is a process of voluntary exchange where individuals cooperate through the transfer of property rights, in which private property is upheld. This is the system that drives the allocation of resources. In essence, socialism, and this is what Mises condemns in his book Socialism, shows is that without private property, prices cease to exist, and therefore resources are diverted. Why don't you think it's the same to make a road of asphalt or gold? Why not make it of gold? Because you have an understanding of economic calculation, you have an idea of prices in your mind. So, in this context, if there is no private property, there are no prices, and as a result, the free market capitalism, is the best mechanism ever developed by humankind for resource allocation. This also implies that markets must be free from state intervention, because when the state intervenes, it creates interference. And markets need to allow free entry and exit, what we call competition. However, it's better to understand competition in the sense described by Israel Kirzner, one of the foremost figures of the Austrian school, or in the neoclassical framework as William Baumol understood it, which was the concept of free entry and exit in so-called contestable markets. And also, let's talk about what pertains to the division of labor and social cooperation. The most wonderful thing about capitalism is that you can only be successful by serving others with better quality goods at a better price. If you are successful in the free market capitalism, you are a hero, you are a social benefactor, you are a prosperity machine. So the better you do, the better you do, the better it is for society. This is very important. I remember when I had my first meeting with Elon Musk, and this made me admire him greatly. And this is something my sister commented on too. Elon Musk told me something he does every day. He wakes up every morning thinking about what problem he could fix for humanity. That's amazing. Of course, what is the counterpart? Being successful. Therefore, in that sense, and moreover, in my view, on how the system works, on how the market works, market failures do not exist. That is to say, that is a problem. All right? A problem for neoclassical economies because of the mathematical tools they've used to develop economic analysis, but actually, it's not a real issue in everyday life. It's a problem in the minds of economists. In fact, my latest book called Capitalism, Socialism, and the Neoclassical Trap deals precisely with this issue.
Yeah, you've outlined these ideas in Capitalism, Socialism, and the Neoclassical Trap. So the trap is that there's no such thing as a middle ground. It's either capitalism or socialism, and every middle ground ends up in a state of socialism.
Well, actually, that is what Mises said. He said that there are only two systems, free enterprise capitalism and socialism. And he also pointed out, and this is proven in Hayek's book, The Road to Serfdom, that any middle ground solution is unstable in terms of capitalism, meaning it tends towards socialism. So when you implement an intervention, it causes government failure, which then triggers further intervention, setting up a trap that results in more and more intervention. And in this context, the neoclassicals, with their market failure theory, are in fact dealing with problems that are fundamentally mathematical Rather than making the world a better place, they have, if you will, been instrumental in increasing the levels of intervention. Let me tell you something. Well, you know, I have an economist as chairman of the President's Advisory Council. Dr. Damian Radel, who studied here at Harvard University and completed his PhD, was mentored by Kenneth Rogoff, the American economist. And Rogoff has said that Dr. Radel was his best student. Nowadays, we're actually working with Dr. Radel specifically on all these issues that arise from, the interventions proposed by the mainstream, such as the so-called correction of market failures. And a few days ago, he conducted a survey of search algorithms and policy recommendations, and that resulted in a map painted from red to blue. And, well, the redder it was, the more it was linked to socialism. There was an intermediate thing that was yellow, and blue was free market ideas. And one of the things he discovered as part of that graph or chart was that the largest number of policy recommendations, scandalously, are actually left-leaning. So that is the empirical evidence of what I pointed out in the book, Capitalism, Socialism, and the Neoclassical Trap.